So recently, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir has got its new government. And soon after getting elected, the Jammu and Kashmir cabinet has passed a resolution urging the central government to grant statehood and to restore statehood of Jammu and Kashmir.
हमारी जमीन पे हमारा अपना हक होना चाहिए।
मुझे बताइए आज तक 75 साल में यूनियन टेरिटरीज जो हैं वो स्टेट बन गई है, कभी स्टेट यूनियन टेरिटरी नहीं बनी। फिर से हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाएंगे, बार बार जाएंगे जब तक हम इसको वापस नहीं लाएंगे।
आपकी 4 पुश्तें भी आएगी, धारा 370 हम वापस नहीं।
And this has also already been cleared by the Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha.
Ministers of Jammu and Kashmir has recently passed a unanimous resolution calling for the immediate restoration of statehood.
Now we all know that in 2019, under the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act, the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir was divided in two halves. That is Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory with a legislative assembly and Ladakh Union Territory without a legislative assembly. Now this decision was followed by the abrogation of Article 370 of our Constitution, which granted the region special status. And now, since newly elected government of Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory is in place, they have made it a point to make restoration of statehood in Jammu and Kashmir the topmost agenda of the government. Also, because of the high turnout in the recent elections, people have basically reposed their trust on the democratic institutions of India and the region as well, which in turn makes the central government even more bound to restore statehood in the region. And also our Honorable Prime Minister and our Honorable Home Minister has reiterated the restoration of statehood in Jammu and Kashmir multiple times during election time as well.
370 जिसने कश्मीर में आतंकवाद और अलगाववाद को हवा दी, 370 जिसने कश्मीर में भारत का संविधान लागू नहीं होने दिया, बीजेपी ने उसे खत्म करके कश्मीर में तिरंगा फहराया।
आज 40,000 लोग डेमोक्रेसी की सांस भर रहे हैं। जम्मू कश्मीर में धारा 370 हटाई तो खून की नदियां बह जाएगी, कंकड़ चलाने की हिम्मत नहीं है किसी की कंकड़ चलाने।
So in a way, civil society, the population and the government of Jammu and Kashmir has been demanding statehood very vigorously from the central government lately. But also recently, there have been several terrorist attacks in the region as well. Several military operations are in place, especially in the region of Jammu, which is not considered that much terrorist infected, while Kashmir region was considered terrorist infested since long time back. But because of recent killings happening in the Jammu region, where both civilians and soldiers are being killed, the security situation in the region of Jammu and Kashmir is worrisome. But in all these scenarios, the voice of restoration of statehood in Jammu and Kashmir is very, very loud. So in this session, we'll be trying to understand the issue of restoration of statehood in Jammu and Kashmir, how feasible it is, and what good it will do to the region of Jammu and Kashmir if statehood is restored. And if it has to be restored, then what is the process? Hello, my name is Preetpal Singh and you're watching Perspective. Now, in the contemporary Indian political and security scenario, Jammu and Kashmir plays a very pivotal role and is having a very important place. See, Jammu and Kashmir is the crown jewel of India, and in this region, there have been tumultuous situation in relation to security and strategy areas since our independence only. Also, we all know that the Jammu and Kashmir Restoration Act of 2019 revoked the special status which was earlier given to the Jammu and Kashmir region. And because of this, a lot of controversies erupted in the region as well.
My Kashmir that has been ruined, that has been murdered in the parliament.
But before we go into the nitty-gritties of statehood, let us very briefly understand the history of Jammu and Kashmir, the political history and the political landscape of Jammu and Kashmir region. See, we all know that in 1947, Jammu and Kashmir was a princely state, and the head of that princely state was Maharaja Hari Singh. Now, as the option was given to all other princely states as well, Jammu and Kashmir was given an option, either to join Pakistan or to join India or to remain independent. And Jammu and Kashmir initially thought that they will remain independent. But when Pakistan invaded the region of Jammu and Kashmir through Pashtun tribes, Jammu and Kashmir had no choice but to come to India. So Jammu and Kashmir acceded to India. They signed the instrument of accession on 26th of October 1947. And they allowed India to exercise control over defense, foreign affairs, communication and finance, while J&K retained some autonomy under the Indian constitution. Now, to safeguard this arrangement, which J&K made with India, Article 370 was inserted in our constitution, and it provided special status to the region of Jammu and Kashmir. But mind you, this status was temporary in nature, and the word temporary was explicitly mentioned in the article. And eventually, this gave the region much demanded autonomy. So because of this, Jammu and Kashmir had a separate constitution, had a separate flag, and had greater autonomy over most areas of governance as compared to the other states of India. But on August 5th of 2019, first initially through a presidential order, the Article 370 was effectively nullified, stripping Jammu and Kashmir of its special status. And after that, Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act of 2019 was also enacted.
जम्मू और कश्मीर पुनर्गठन विधेयक 2019 को सदन के सन्मुख विचार करने के लिए संदर्भित करने पर यह सदन जम्मू और कश्मीर पुनर्गठन विधेयक 2019 को स्वीकार करने का विचार करती है.
Now, at that point of time, several legal experts, they questioned the constitutional validity of this particular move by the central government, and will it pass the test of the constitution or not. But putting an end to all these debates, on 11th of December 2023, a constitution bench of the Honorable Supreme Court of India unanimously upheld the power of the President to abrogate Article 370 on August of 2019. And it also said that this move was a part of the 70-year-old exercise to integrate Jammu and Kashmir with India. And also Honorable Supreme Court of India reiterated that efforts should be taken to restore statehood in Jammu and Kashmir, and elections should be held at the earliest. So now elections were held in the Jammu and Kashmir region, and after elections a new government came in place, which is led by Shri Omar Abdullah, who's of National Conference. And now this new government and the cabinet is demanding statehood from the union government, and union government is also reiterating multiple times that they are bound and they will definitely give statehood to the region of Jammu and Kashmir. And with this, what comes to our mind is the feasibility, that how feasible it is for the central government to give Jammu and Kashmir region the statehood. See, under the feasibility factors, the first thing which comes into play is the political will. The political will of the central government to give statehood to Jammu and Kashmir, because in the current regime, in the current situation, central government is having more power in the region of Jammu and Kashmir as compared to the elected government of the union territory. So first thing what is required is the political will. But second point, which is also very crucial, is in relation to security concerns. See, Jammu and Kashmir is a very delicate and sensitive region, which is having strategic importance for India at a very great level. But the security situation, especially in the Kashmir Valley, it remains very volatile. And militant activities in the region have been ongoing since last many decades. So government would want to ensure that there is a stable environment first, and stability is ensured in the region. Until and unless stability is ensured, giving statehood would hold no meaning. And also one of the other feasibility factors is the public opinion. See, public opinion, especially in the Kashmir region, is divided on this issue. However, many people, they support the restoration of statehood. There are some sections who say that the central government's interference or central government's power in the union territory should not be reduced in order to ensure peace and stability in the region. But the real question is about how the central government would be able to grant statehood to Jammu and Kashmir. See, there is one article of our constitution, Article 3. Now, Article 3 of our constitution relates to formation of new states, and it says that Parliament holds the power to enact legislation for formation of new states. Now, new states can be created in four situations. It can be created by separating territory from an existing state, by uniting two or more states, by uniting parts of different states, and by uniting any territory to part of any state. And Parliament has the authority under Article 3 to increase or diminish the area of a state and alter the boundaries or name of any particular state in our country. And here the word state also means union territory as well. So if the Parliament wants to do so, a bill for the formation of new state can only be introduced in either of the houses of Parliament, that is in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, upon the recommendation of the President first. Honorable President of India has to recommend such a bill for it to be introduced in any of the houses of the Parliament. And if this bill is affecting the areas, boundaries or name of the state, the President of India must refer this bill to the concerned state legislator as well for their views. But the Parliament and the President of India are not bound by the views of the state legislature. So state legislature's only role is to express the views which are requested by the President, and Parliament is not obligated to adhere to any of the views expressed by the state legislature. And one more important thing is that the laws enacted under Article 3 of our Constitution is not considered amendments to the Constitution. And even if they modify the first schedule, that is the list of states and union territories, or the fourth schedule, that is allocation of the seats in Rajya Sabha, it is not considered an amendment. And this makes a very crucial point that such laws can be passed by a simple majority in the Parliament of India. Now, since the process is very clear, the main question which we need to address here is that what good it will do. What difference will it make for the region of Jammu and Kashmir, for the people of Jammu and Kashmir, if they are granted statehood and statehood is restored? See, for that, we have to understand the nature of a union territory and a state. And we need to understand how a union territory with the legislative assembly works and how a full-fledged state works. Only then we'll be able to understand the difference and importance of a full-fledged state. See, Article 239 of our Constitution, it deals with the administration of union territories. And it states that every union territory in our country shall be administered by the President, acting to such extent as he thinks fit through an administrator. And under this 2019 Reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir Act, there is Section 13. This Section 13 states that Article 239A of the Constitution, which involves creation of local legislatures or council of ministers or both for certain union territories, which provides for the administration of union territory of Puducherry, shall also apply to the union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. So like in union territory of Puducherry, it's a union territory with the legislature. Same case in union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, there will be a legislature. And that is under Article 239A. But there is one distinct example as well which we see in our country. That is of Delhi. That is National Capital Territory of Delhi. Now it is again a union territory with a legislature, but it is dealt a bit differently. And that is under Article 239AA. And as the national capital, it is having a unique constitutional status, which has been subject to definitely much litigation in the Honorable Supreme Court of India, and still many litigations are pending before Honorable Supreme Court of India as well. And there is constant tussle which goes on between the Chief Minister and the Lieutenant Governor in Delhi. But to put the record straight, in Delhi's case, there are three subjects, that is land, public order and police, which are reserved for a Lieutenant Governor. And Lieutenant Governor is getting orders from whom? The Honorable President of India. And Honorable President of India is representing the union, that is the central government. So, in a way, land, police and public order in a region of Delhi is administered by the central government through President, and eventually President gives orders to the Lieutenant Governor. And similarly, the Reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir Act of 2019, it gives such kind of provision for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir as well. It provides a different structure where the Lieutenant Governor will have a much bigger role as compared to the Legislative Assembly of that region. And for this to understand, there are two provisions which we need to understand in depth. First is the Section 32 of this 2019 Act. Now, before we understand the Section 32, let us understand one very, very important thing. There is one Schedule 7th of our Constitution. Now, under Schedule 7th, there are three different lists. One is union list, one is state list, and one is concurrent list. Now, this list basically shows that who is empowered to take decision on what matters. So, union list is having matters where the central government can make laws. State list is having the matters where the state government can take laws. And in concurrent list, both union government and state government can make laws. Now, if a state is there, a full-fledged state is there, they can make laws on all the matters which are mentioned in the state list. But in this Section 32, it is explicitly stated that Legislative Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir can make laws of the items mentioned under the state list, except two items, that is, except public order and except police. So in this case, who will be having power in the public order and police matters? Lieutenant Governor of Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir has been given unprecedented power under this section, which makes the Legislative Assembly and the Government of Union Territory a bit weaker. Also, there is one more section, that is Section 36 of this Act, and it deals with the provision of financial bills. The amendment of the law with respect to any financial obligation undertaken or to be undertaken by the government of the Union Territory. So under the financial matters as well, financial obligation related matters, again Lieutenant Governor is having major say, and this provision is having a very wide impact, since virtually every policy decision could create a financial obligation to the Union Territory. So here the Lieutenant Governor power would be more. And also one more thing is there, that apart from the public order and the police, the bureaucracy And the Anti-Corruption Bureau will also be under the control of the Lieutenant Governor because of this particular act. And this provision also says that if a question arises that this matter is to be referred to the Lieutenant Governor or not, or the power of the Lieutenant Governor is there on the matter or not, ultimately who will be the judge? Ultimately the decision of the Lieutenant Governor and his discretion or her discretion shall be final in this regard. So again, giving more powers to the Lieutenant Governor and less power to the government of the Union Territory. But does this happen in a full-fledged state? No. So in a full-fledged state, the state government is having power on all the items under the state list. That is on public order also and on police also, which are two major things, and on administration as well. That is bureaucracy. So this simply means that the current laws which are in place in Jammu and Kashmir, the government, the cabinet and the legislative assembly is not as powerful as it was in the erstwhile Jammu and Kashmir which existed before 2019. And the control of central government is more in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir as compared to the legislative assembly and the Union Territory's government. But why are we discussing this? See, if restoration of statehood is there, then who will be given more power? The Union Territory will be converted into a state, and then the state government, the legislative assembly of the state government would have power under all the matters of the state list. So then the Lieutenant Governor would not be the Lieutenant Governor, he or she would be the governor, and the governor would not be as powerful compared to the legislative assembly of the state. That is why they are demanding restoration of statehood. That you give more power to the elected government of that region, give more power to the public, to the people, and the elected representatives of the region. That is the whole demand, and that is the difference that would be made if restoration of statehood is granted. So basically, if we see at a wider lens, restoration of statehood would grant more power and more autonomy to the public and to the political parties and to the government of Jammu and Kashmir region. Now the question that statehood should be given or not, that is not a question at all. Because our Honorable Prime Minister has reiterated, our Honorable Home Minister has reiterated, Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir has reiterated, Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir also has reiterated that statehood needs to be restored. So there is no question that should statehood be restored or not. The question is how soon. So definitely statehood needs to be given, but in a calibrated approach. See, because Jammu and Kashmir is not any ordinary region. It is a region with a different security situation and a volatile security situation. So both peace and progress need to be safeguarded first before granting the statehood. And a balanced approach that prioritizes the national interests also and the interests of the region and the aspirations of the public as well, that calibrated approach needs to be taken. And ultimately, it should serve the best interests of the citizens of Jammu and Kashmir and the citizens of our country as well. And by learning from the history and remaining vigilant against the pressures which have previously undermined peace in the region, India can now chart a path towards progress of the region where tourism, economy and the progress of Jammu and Kashmir can be restored along with the statehood. So not just restoration of statehood, but restoration of the glory of Jammu and Kashmir should also be very high on the agenda of the newly elected government of Jammu and Kashmir. I hope you gained a new perspective in relation to the statehood. What are your views surrounding this situation and this issue? Please let me know in the comment section. All the very best and have a beautiful day.